YellowJackets is on Showtime. It's on the Showtime app right now. Luckily, I think, did not know that this show existed. I mean, I guess I had heard of it in passing. I had heard it was a thing. But I didn't know that YellowJackets was a show until the season had ended. So when somebody, I don't even remember who it was that convinced me to give it a try. Maybe it was somebody that called the show or something. I don't remember. But something convinced me to give it a try. And I signed on to that Showtime app, and boom, there's the whole season waiting for me. And to me, that's the way to best enjoy this show, to binge it all. I would recommend it if you've got a weekend coming up where you don't have a lot on the plate. I think this is a good one for you to start. I was a fan. I love this genre, if it's the genre that I think it is. Allow me to explain. So YellowJackets, first of all, it's a dual timeline show, right? 2 timelines. They're happening simultaneously on the show, but the earlier timeline is being reflected. What we have is the story of a girls' soccer team from 1996. And we're following those girls on their journey in 1996. At the same time, we're following some of those girls on their journey through life right now in 2022 or 2021, because I think it's 25 years removed. So I guess technically it's 2021. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Because what happens in 1996 is this girls' soccer team, they're a cutthroat soccer team, right? And I'm not going to do spoilers. I'm not going to do big spoilers. I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, okay? I'm just going to give you a synopsis of the show and then tell you what I think. So, you might know more details than one who just watched the trailer. But generally speaking, I won't spoil too much. Basically, this girls' soccer team is very, very good, very, very cutthroat, very focused on winning. So much so that they're looking at going to states. They get on a plane to go to states. One of the girls has a dad or something who has access to a private plane, whatever. They end up in a private plane, so it's not a commercial jet. The plane ends up going down. The plane ends up crashing. And I already know you're rolling your eyes. I'm with you. I'm not a Lost guy. I don't like Lost because I don't like the supernatural elements of Lost. I tried Lost, and maybe it's good. A lot of people love Lost. A lot of people don't rewatch it. A lot of people watched it the first time through and do not rewatch it again. What does that tell you? But when I started Lost, it was like within the first couple of episodes, there were like polar bears running around the jungle and all this like supernatural stuff. And I go, okay, well, if anything is possible, I don't want to deal with it. But this isn't like that. This isn't like the other show on Netflix that I guess got canceled by NBC and then Netflix picked it up where like, the plane crashes and to them 6 months has gone by, but to everybody else 5 years. None of that weird stuff. The plane crashes in the woods and this girls' soccer team is now stranded out there. And some people die in the plane crash. It's a pretty bad plane crash. Other people do not die. A lot of people don't die. So the girls, they make a graveyard for the people that died. And they go, okay, we'll just chill here until we're found. Problem is, they weren't found. At least, I don't know. Somehow, they got out of the forest, but it's implied at some point in the series that they were there for like over a year. They were there. It's like that movie, Alive. It's like that story of that rugby team. They got into a plane crash in the mountains. Nobody could find them. They ended up having to resort to big C word, cannibalism. And that is what I'm waiting for on this show. So the show, this is why it's not a spoiler. The show opens with a teaser of what's to come. And the teaser really makes it look like something has happened to these girls from being in the forest all that time, that it goes full Lord of the Flies. We don't know who's who. We don't know what's what. We don't know how this came to be or what motivated it. But what we do know is that these girls, who at one point were a high school soccer team, have gone full Lord of the Flies, are decorated with like antlers and masks and crazy stuff. They're setting traps in the woods, not just to grab animals, but it appears to grab human beings. And what we are led to believe is that cannibalism has occurred, that somehow being stranded in the woods has made these girls resort to eating human flesh. And as we flash forward into the present, what we've got is this group of ladies who are the adult versions of the girls that were stuck in the forest, now living their lives. But it's 25 years removed. There are people poking around trying to find out what happened in the forest, and we find out that nobody who survived ever told anybody at all what happened. There's a lot of there's violence and brutality. You know, they got to figure out how to hunt so they can get meat. They got to figure out how to survive. You see this big plane crash. Like there's some serious brutality, and there's some signs of like demonic occultism. I don't know if it's full on demonism, Satanism, but there's certainly some kind of occult themes that we're going to be exposed to. Now, I have heard that the creators of this show have crafted in their minds what could be like a 5-season arc, which means that you're not going to get all the answers at the end of season 1. And for me, there were points where this did get very frustrating. In the beginning of the show, we are promised cannibalism. And I found myself at many times saying, "Where is the cannibalism? Sam, where is the cannibalism?" I understand why we would take our time with it, but I did find myself more than once saying, "Can we get to it already? Can we get to it already?" That's the thing. When you have a very complicated mystery show like this, you need to give answers to some of it. Like I needed more breadcrumbs. I needed more breadcrumbs. I needed to, because a lot of times, like, you would think that you're getting towards the answer, and it's only making things more complicated. Like the Hot Rod said, just when you think you've got the answers, I change the questions. And when somebody does that in real life, I go, I don't really want to talk to you anymore because it's too complicated and you're making me guess about everything. I don't want to guess about everything. The casting is amazing. The job they do with casting on this show is amazing. The grown-ups really look like, you know, there's Juliette Lewis, there's Christina Ricci, there's the girl who I saw in Detroit Rock City who just won an award for this show. She does a tremendous job. But all the adult versions act a lot like the kid versions. This is where I worry about this show, is that I don't want it to devolve into supernatural. There's a lot going on this show. What the show does great is crazy shit happens, but there's a logical explanation for it. Everything that's happened so far, I believe, you can write off, even the really crazy stuff, you can write off as being put on by a substance or trauma. So there's a lot, like, you know, the state of paranoia that you'd be in, being like lost in the woods for weeks, months by the end of the thing, is that, yeah, like your brain would start going crazy. So if that's where they're going with this, and you can explain all this stuff with real world answers, I'm good with it. I'm going to keep riding. But I really feel like if they try to do some witchcraft mumbo jumbo, if they try to do some supernatural, I want trauma and paranoia. I don't want, when you start, you run the risk of, you can bring characters back to life. You can have people make weird choices. Like, you can get away with literally anything if you just decide, well, there's a big supernatural element to this. So my hope and my prayer is that there is no supernatural element to this show, that season 2 comes out and you can continue to kind of justify everything that goes on as happening within the realm of the physical world, and that the stuff that is impossible could just be interpreted by the character, that it's not actually happening. And we better get full on cannibalism somewhere in season 2.